was an educator, reporter, and dedicated to service in many areas.
I noticed that a number of historical societies in Southern California stage cemetery tour walks of different kinds. And that appealed to me because we have a beautiful historic cemetery here in Laverne, and a number of people who were early pioneers in Laverne are buried here. And because we are all about history, having visited this cemetery, I thought we should do a tour.
Hi, I'm William Henry Nearer. My brother Barty was the first person buried in the Verne Cemetery. He was the 8th of 9 children and a twin to our brother Harvey. Our mother died when he was only a year and a half old. We came to Lordsburg from Kansas after 1900, partly in hope that his tuberculosis could be cured by the change in climate.
There's many families who are interned here, and there are some families who have many family members. For instance, the Hannawalts, there are 24 Hannawalts who are buried here at the cemetery, and we couldn't profile all of them. We just picked one couple, George and Lucinda Hannawalt.
I grew up on the original homestead of their first American Hannawalts. I farmed in the summer and taught school in the winter for over 16 years. I was married 3 times. My first wife was Caroline Matilda McKee. We were married in 1856. She died of typhoid fever soon after our first child was born. We called her Carrie Jane, and she died of the cholera when she was only 2 months old. 2 years later, I married Barbara Leplegel, and she died at age 30 after only 13 years of marriage. She left behind 8 children under the age of 12. My third wife, Lucinda Stutzman, and I, that's her, were married in 1874, and she bore me 9 children. That brought the total of my living children to 17. I was called to the ministry and was ordained as an elder in 1886.
3 of my sons and some grandsons helped build the Laverne Church of the Brethren building, which is located on the corner of Bonita and E. And Jay Ross also helped to start and build Hillcrest. I lived 16 years after George died, and I am buried right next to him here.
Well, citrus was pretty much the basis of our economy here for a long time. If you look at some of the older pictures of Laverne, it's just solid citrus. And even in the middle of town, there would be groves. And then poultry, there were chicken ranches all over the place. Don Kendrick and his wife Gaynell played the parts of Don's ancestors, L.H. Bixby and his wife Margaret. And of course, Don could tell us quite a bit about his own family.
On a visit to California in 1881, Margaret and I were so pleased with what we found that we settled up and moved to Pasadena in 1883. We bought 20 acres of unimproved land and turned it into a paradise of apricots, peaches, grapes, and oranges. It was also profitable for me to open a general merchandise store, but I sold this in 1885 along with my Pasadena holdings to buy 120 acres of land in Laverne. Our third son, which was Harmon, buried right there, was born in Laverne. Like many people, we were caught by the great land bust of 1887, and they lost 120 acres. That's my great-great-grandfather. The property that he homesteaded was on the northeast corner of Foothill and Wheeler. They created this label for their property with the house in the center. I spearheaded an organization to form the San Dimas Land and Water Company and served as its secretary. I was also president of the Citrus Water Company and helped to found the Laverne Orange Growers Association.
We made our list, Bill and I, of the different characters we are going to portray, and we had assigned members of the board as docents. Then I looked at the remaining places that needed to be filled, docent characters. And it occurred to me to ask the Hillcrest Thespian Group. I was once again very pleasantly surprised.
You even recruited me.
I did.
I had an opportunity to talk about Dr. Hubble. After talking to doctors in the area, we settled on Lordsburg to establish my practice. We bought a house on East Street near the corner where it crosses 4th Street. What we call 4th Street is now Bonita Avenue. My practice operated from my home. I had an annex with a separate entrance built at the back so I could see patients and not disturb my family members. And I have been known to take vegetables, a load of hay, and even music lessons as a payment. I served as mayor from 1912 to 1914.
We've slowly been adding to our costuming with the Historical Society because we have had several events that are historically situated, and having costumed docents was, I think, a very attractive thing to add to the cemetery tour. One other accompaniment at the cemetery tour that was really important was to have picture accompaniment. And this is where Bill was absolutely invaluable, because he provided me with a number of images that we could then blow up, put together, and display on easels, so that when the visitors came and stopped at each site, they could be not only entertained by the docent's narrative, they could look at the pictures that depicted the lives of the persons the docents were talking about.
In 1854, and passed away in 1922. My wife, Lily Mae Sprinkler, was born in 1863, and she passed away in 1960.
One of the real benefits of having the cemetery tour here and involving the docents we did is we've had a couple docents who had a real connection to the people they represented.
Now we have a very special edition that because we know that Dr. Hubble treated people in this area, and Brenda's husband was part of a family that actually was treated by Dr. Hubble.
So I'm speaking on behalf of my husband's side of the family, whose great-grandparents, Vicente and Ignacia Yepes, lived and worked here in Laverne. They had 16 kids and lived at 1862 2nd Street.
Whenever there was a baby that was going to be added to the family, Dr. Hubble would come to the house, and the children would all go out and sit on the front lawn while he went in and attended to Mrs. Yepes.
And when the baby was born, they would hold the baby up in the window.
And that was apparently the signal that now we can come in and see mother and baby. When Mrs. Yepes was having her last children, it was a set of twin boys. And Dr. Hubble could tell that she was in trouble with her delivery, and he approached Mr. Yepes and
said, "You need to tell me what to do. Save your wife or the baby." He said, "You can't ask me to make that decision," and he left.
He left the house, and people didn't know where he had gone. He returned to find his wife and two beautiful, healthy twin boys. And where he had been is he had been at church, praying for his wife's safe delivery of their two children. Mary Kay Ogden, who played the part Grace Miller, had actually been Grace Miller's Sunday school student.
I was correspondent for the Progress Bulletin for 22 years, and with each publication featured many outstanding citizens of the San Gabriel Valley. Then I joined the staff of the Laverne Leader in 1947. In 1955, just 2 months before my death, the Laverne Leader named me Woman of the Week. In December 1955, I was riding in a car driven by my grandson when we suffered a collision with another vehicle. I was thrown out of the car and died almost instantly. My husband, daughter, and another grandson were also passengers, but survived. My father was pastoring the Laverne Church of the Brethren at that time. I was 9 years old. It was Christmas Eve. We got the call that Grace Hyman Miller had passed away. I don't remember a single present I opened that evening, but it will ever be etched on my heart, that phone call and learning that she was no longer with us.
And I think when you have docents who really have a connection to the people they represent, it adds a lot of poignancy and to the experience.